Hi everyone, welcome to part 3 of this foundation paper 3 from November 2024. We're on question 17, so let's get into it. The table shows information about the times in minutes 100 people took to complete a bike race. On the grid below, draw a frequency polygon for this information. Okay, so a frequency polygon, we're going to need to plot the middle of each of these times in minutes. So the first thing we need to do is find what the center between these two is. So in order to find the midpoint of 120 and 140, you'd add them together and divide them by 2. So in this case, it's 260 over 2, which equals 130. So then you plot the first point at 130 time on the x-axis here, and then 12 on the y-axis. So 130, and this is here, so that is there for the first point. And the same for the rest of these. Some of you may be able to notice what number is in between because they're quite relatively easy numbers to guess. So this is 150, 170, and that one is 190, and that one's 210. And then you just want to plot each of these points where this is the time is the x-axis and the frequency is the y-axis on here. So the next one is 150 and 28, which is here. And then we've got 170 and 30, which is there. And 190 and 22. And 210 and 8, which is there. And then just get your ruler and you just want to join all these lines up nice and neatly, like so. And that's it. Question 18. Write 3.402 times 10 to the 5 as an ordinary number. First of all, 10 to the 5. 10 to the 5 is 5 zeros. So whatever the power is, that's how many zeros you use. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 100,000. So at the minute, we've got 3.402 times 100,000. Now, you can just type this in your calculator. You can do it like this. So 3.402. And you can actually put times 10 to the power of 5, and that will give you the right answer. Or you can do it 3.402 times 100,000 like we just did. And it's still that answer. So 340,200. Okay. Now we're doing the opposite. We're going to write 0.8026 in standard form, which is this form here. So in order to do this, we need the number to be, as it is here, between 1 and 10, or 1 and 9.9, I think it is. So in this case, we want it to be 8.026 times 10 to the something. Now in this case, we've actually gone back one digit, so we've moved one digit over. So we want to go minus one digit this way. So it's 8.026 times 10 to the minus 1, because this number is smaller than this number. So 8.026 times 10 to the minus 1. Okay, question 19. Use ruler and compasses to construct the bisector of angle ABC. Now the bisector is the line that is exactly halfway between this angle here. You get your compass, and I've not got a compass, so I will just show you like this. You start here and you set your compass to a length, and you draw the line here like this with your compass, and then you keep it at that length and you go here and then you draw the same line and do the same from this point, and then wherever these two lines intersect, that's your bisector. So you'll draw a line straight through there, and you just leave these lines on so that you'll be marked for them. Okay, question 20. Dan is playing cards. The probability that he will win at a game of cards is 0.3. Dan plays 2 games of cards. Complete the probability tree diagram. So the probability that he will win a game of cards is 0.3. Okay, so the win here is 0.3, and to win again, we know is also 0.3. We have another win here, so that's 0.3. That means that because the probability is out of 100%, and we have the decimal version of 30% here, that's what that equals, we can figure out what the probability of losing is, which is 100 minus 30, which is 70%, which is the same as 0.7. And all we do there is divide 70 by 100 to get 0.7. So we'll fill in 0.7 here, because it's all the same for when he doesn't win, it's 0.7. Work out the probability that Dan does not win either game. Now, when you're calculating multiple probabilities, all it is you're multiplying them by each other. So all you do is get your calculator and you do 0.7 times 0.7 equals 49 over 100, or 0.49. So the probability that he doesn't win either game is 0.49. Question 21. Robin buys a total of 240 pens and pencils, where the number of pens to number of pencils is 3 to 5. Robin pays 9p for each pen. She sells each pen for 11p, pays 6p for the pencil, and sells each for 10p. Robin sells all of the pens and pencils. Work out Robin's percentage profit. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. You must surely work it. Okay, so this is quite a long question by the looks of it, but we'll break it down into little steps and we'll go through it bit by bit. So, Robin buys 240 pens and pencils. So we need to find out how many are pens and how many are pencils. In this case, we can do 240 divided by 8, which is these two added together, equals 30. So every one unit here is worth 30. So the number of pens and the number of pencils we can see is 90, which is 30 times 3 here, and 30 times 5 to 150. So that's the actual ratio. Robin pays 9p for each pen. Okay, so let's work out the cost. Okay, so the pen cost is 90, because there's 90 pens, times, where is it? 9p. Let's put p there. Okay. Remember, this is in pence currently. 90 times 9 is 810 pence. The pencil cost is 150 times 6p. So we can do 150 times 6, which equals 900p. So that's the costs. Now let's work out what she sells them for. So the pen sale is 90 times 11. So we do 90 times 11, which equals 990p. And the pencil sale is 150, because there's 150 pencils, times how much she sells them for, which is 10p. So it's 10 times 150, which equals 1500p. Okay. It says that Robin sells all of the pens and pencils. Work out Robin's percentage profit. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. You must show all your work in. Okay, so we're trying to find out the difference between how much she's sold everything for and how much she's paid for these items. So really what we're doing is we're going to add these two together, which is the sale price, and these two together, which is the cost price. So we do 1500 plus 990, and then we take away 810 plus 900. Okay, so if we do that, 1500 plus 990, and then minus 810 plus 900 equals 780. So that's how much actual profit Robin has. We need to put that over the total cost of the items. Now the total cost of the items is the pen cost plus the pencil cost, 810 plus 900, so that's 810 plus 900, which is 1710. And then if we work that out and we do 780 over 1710, we get 26 over 57, which is actually 0.456. Okay, and then if we times this by 100, we get the percentage, which is 45.6% to one decimal place. Question 22. The stem and leaf diagram shows the test scores of 23 students from school A. 23 students from school B did the same test. Their median score was 56, the range of their scores was 47. Compare the distribution of the test scores of the students from school A with the distribution of the test scores of the students from school B. So the first thing we want to do, this is a comparison thing. We're going to be comparing these with whatever we find out of this data from A. So the first thing we want to do is we want to find the median. To find the median, there's 23 students here. We add 1 and divide that by 2. And that way, we find what the middle value is. That's the 12th number in. So if we count the 12th number in, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that's 57. So A, 57 is the median. And then for the next part, we need to look at the range of the scores. The lowest score here is 30, because these are the 10s. And this is a 10 here, so that's 79 is the highest score. So we do 79 minus 30, which equals 49. So then we can see that the range is 49. So it says compare the two. So we can see that school A had a higher median score and school A had a higher range. Question 23. Jana uses a calculator to find the value of a number t. The answer on our calculator began 10.2. Complete the error interval for t. Okay, so the first thing we think is, oh right, 10.2, that must be rounded up or down, but it's not, because here we've got the word began. So the calculator should physically be saying 10.2 and some numbers here. So the lowest value that it could be is 10.2 itself. The highest value it could be is 10.29999 and so on. Question 24. ABC is a right angle triangle. Calculate the length of AB, give your answer correct to one decimal place. So AB is here. It looks like we're going to be using SOHCAHTOA and trigonometry. So in this case, we have an angle. We have here the adjacent, and we need to find the opposite. Now in our SOHCAHTOA, we've got the adjacent and the opposite, the tangent we need. So we do the tan of 62 degrees equals the opposite over the adjacent, which is x. Let's label the opposite x over 7.6. And to find x here, we use algebra and we say, right, we'll multiply both sides by 7.6. So 7.6 times tan 62 equals x. And we go back to our calculator and we type in 7.6 times tan 62 equals 14.29, but it's asked for one decimal place. So we're going to round that up to 14.3. Question 25. Simplify fully 2x cubed y to the power of 5 times 7x squared y. Okay, so we're going to multiply the coefficients first. So 2 times 7 is 14. And then we need to multiply the same values. So we've got x to the power of 3 times x to the power of 2. Now if we've got a multiplication of powers, it's the same as adding the powers like this. So x3 times x2 is x to the 5. And the reason that is because x to the 3 is this, and that's times x to the 2, which is this, which as you can see is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, x to the 5. The same for y5 times y1, that is. So it's y5 times y to the 1, which is also y on its own. So 5 times 1. But we're not going to put 5. We have got an extra y here. This still counts as 1. So it's actually y to the 5 plus 1, which is y to the 6. Simplify m squared to the power of minus 3. In this case, we're not multiplying, we've actually got an outside of the bracket, we've got a power to a power. When we have a power to a power, instead of adding like we do up here, we multiply. So this becomes 2 times minus 3. So the answer is m to the minus 6. Question 26. Peter invests £4,500 in a savings account for 3 years. He gets 1.8% per year compound interest. Work out the total amount of interest Peter gets. Okay, so we have 4,500. Now to work out the interest, we need to work out the decimal of 1.8%. So 1.8 divided by 100 equals 0.018. So that's the decimal percentage he gets every year. So if we multiplied this directly, we'd find out how much interest he'd get for the first year. But we need it to compound. We need it to add on each time. So we need this number included. So we need to times this by itself, which is 1, and then add the decimal on, 0.018. And as you can see, if we do that on the calculator, times 1.018, we get, that's the value after the first year. The important thing from here is that it compounds. So we need to do this again, but with this next number. So the second year would be that answer times the same thing. And then we're going to do it one more time for the third year times 1.018. So there we get £4,747. And we'll just put the numbers in there as well for now. So it works out the total amount of interest Peter gets. Well, the interest is the amount of money earned on top of his original amount that he put in. So we just take away 4,500 and we're left with £247.40. Line L is drawn on a grid. Find an equation for line L. So the first thing we notice is that the easiest thing to do, we've got an equation which is written in this form, y equals mx plus c. Now the c value is the y-intercept. In this case, it's always wherever the line crosses the y value here, the y-intercept. So in this case, it's 3. So we know that it's plus 3. Now we just need to find out the gradient. To find out the gradient, we take y2 over y1 divided by x2 over x1, where y2 and y1 are the y values of 2 points, and x2 and x1 are the x values, and it's just a distance between them. So in this case, we'll pick an easy point, so we'll pick this one here, and then we'll pick this one here. So we'll put x, the first coordinate is -1 and 5. The second coordinate is 2 and -1. Okay. So in this case, we actually have x1, y1, x2, y2. So we do -1, -5, over x2, 2, and make sure this is a negative, and we're going to minus a negative like this. So we get minus 6 over 2 minus 3 is 3. Minus 6 over 3 is equal to minus 2. So there we go. We have the equation of the line is y equals minus 2x plus 3. Important thing there is just being careful with these minus signs, because this minus sign stays where it is. And that finishes paper 3. Thanks very much for watching. Consider liking and subscribing if you like the video, and good luck with all your studies. Thank you.